Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Thank you for joining another edition of Donnybrook. We have a great program coming your way this week, including a visit with future Baseball Hall of Famer Ted Simmons, who gets inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York on September the 8th. Alvin Reid and I will be posing questions Mr. Simmons' way. Let's meet the panelists who will talk about the hot topics this week, starting with the co-host of the Jennifer and Wendy Show on the Big 550 KTRS, Wendy Wiese. She's also the news director there. He's celebrating a big birthday tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill McClellan from your St. Louis Post-Dispatch. From rawstory.com, the Riverfront Times, and the Big 550, Ray Hartmann. And the news editor for the St. Louis American. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Alvin Reid. And Bill, we all wish you a happy birthday on this, the eve of your birthday.
Happy birthday!
Birthday. Wendy was nice enough to send me a card. Everybody else forgot.
I picked one more day.
Yeah, wait, like I said, happy birthday!
Hey, little programming note. On Tuesday at 7 o'clock, our program ITOW, in their own words, Chuck Berry, the father of rock and roll, who was born in St. Louis and spent his entire life here, will be profiled. And you can see that right here on 9PBS. I know a lot of people will want to see that, including you, Bill. Bill, it was your idea way long ago in one of your columns that there should be a statue for Chuck Berry. And of course, next week is also the 10th anniversary of that statue. But something also somewhat monumental happened today. The Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, decided that expanding Medicaid the way the voters did it a summer ago is not unconstitutional. And so that sounds like good news for the 275,000 very poor Missourians who will now be receiving medical care from the state. Do you have any takeaway on the court and its decision?
Well, you know, the takeaway that I have is, first of all, it wasn't surprising, but we are the exact opposite of the country right now. In the U.S. Supreme Court, it's conservatives, and they're going to rule the day for years and years and rein in the liberals. And in Missouri, we have a liberal Supreme Court that's going to rein in the conservatives. And that's really because of the way we select our Supreme Court judges, as they call. You know, we have that Missouri system where the governor gets 3 names he can pick. And the trial attorneys, who are liberal by nature, pretty much control the selection process. And so the governor never gets, even a conservative governor, never really gets many hardcore conservatives. So we have a, left-leaning Supreme Court, and it's not surprising that they have rebuked the hard right-leaning legislature.
Well,
Go ahead.
I only partly agree with the birthday boy. I wouldn't call it liberal. First of all, the court is more, it is moderate, and I guess that makes it look liberal. I don't think many of the judges on the Supreme Court would be classified as liberal anymore. But I think you got a general point that it's different than it is well, let me just get to the point I was going to make, and that is we were talking about just a few weeks ago when the judge ruled against Medicaid, and based on having had the opportunity to have Greg Willard, our KTRS legal analyst, explain this to me, he made the point that did not impact in either side, unlike a lot of civil cases, what the Supreme Court might do. And he sure explained that well. And I was surprised that it was unanimous. And what a setback to the Republicans. I mean, I don't know how they're going to spin this. I think the only question remaining is whether they're going to somehow think this is still in 2022, something they want to moan about and do all this kind of like drug testing or whatever else they want to do to torture these recipients.
Well, I was going to I'll disagree with you. You kind of threw me a little live softball there, Ray, but not really. But I was just going to say that, no, this is not a setback for anybody. This is like and I hate win-win. When people say win-win, I hate that saying. But, I mean, I think conservatives knew that we're going to lose when we get to the state Supreme Court. So let's push it as far as we can. Never mind how much money we waste and Eric Schmidt and all that. But they knew this was coming. And then for those that, stood fast, and especially those in healthcare, it's a win for them. Okay. And then if you're, activists, like to protest, all that, it's a win for you because we put pressure on them. So everybody walks away, I think, with what they ultimately got. But most importantly, the voters, because the majority of people voted to say do it. And now hopefully it's going to get done.
That's a good point, Alvin.
Good point, Alvin, because, if it hadn't gone through, there would have been a lot of people in rural Missouri hurt, and rural hospitals might have closed, and the Republicans might have had to pay a price. But this way, there's no price to be paid.
That's interesting to point out. Although I might disagree with you, I might quibble with you, Bill, because you say there are a lot of people who might be hurt. 275,000 people is just 4% of the Missouri population. And while a majority of Missourians voted for this in a red state, actually it does help a relatively small number, less than 5%.
No, it doesn't. It helps the entire state economy.
Okay, but I mean, I'm talking about people who will be getting health care.
$1 billion a year.
The numbers represent human beings, and so
exactly.
Even though
there's that. But
it's not like we're all getting checks. We'll put it that way. Okay,
we are, Charlie, because
it doesn't make it any less necessary.
Let's move on to the next topic, and that would be: should Kim Gardner, the circuit attorney, be removed, or should she be censured, or is there some other mechanism for her to be punished? I don't know. After really a horrible week, what happened? Her office almost 30 times entered the signature of one of the lawyers on documents without the lawyer's knowledge. That lawyer, the lead homicide prosecutor, quit yesterday. Kim Gardner's office has been found to have dismissed twice as many cases, 36%, than the predecessor, which was actually around 10 to 15%. This week, 3 murder cases were dismissed. In one case, one of her attorneys failed to show up in court 3 times, so the judge let out this man accused of murder, whose actions, by the way, were captured on surveillance tape. He's now at large. Wendy, is there a price to pay? I mean, aside from tough opinion in the state of Missouri, or at least in our area, for Kim Gardner?
I don't think there will be a tough price to pay for Kim Gardner among the voters in the city of St. Louis who just reelected her. But for the rest of the people in the city, in the region, in the state, who are just gobsmacked by these events, number one, something has to be done, or an investigation, I'm sure, is already underway about how you have signatures appearing for Ms. Arce, who has resigned while she was on maternity leave. That if that kind of thing is going on, if signatures are being forged in the office of the circuit attorney, that's worthy of some examination. Randy Moore, the victim of Brandon Campbell, last time the marshals had to apprehend Campbell when he was released. They had to go as far as Texas to bring him back. Who knows where he is at this point? But his victim's family found out about it from Christine Byers in her report on Channel 5. The circuit attorney's office didn't even take the time to alert the family to the fact that Brandon Campbell was being released. This is chaos in an office that cannot afford to create chaos. So I don't know exactly the legal way to go about, having some kind of penalty paid, but something needs to be done, clearly.
Well, another thing that struck me, Joel Currier in the Post-Dispatch wrote a story about this and quoted Nick Zotos, who's a prominent defense attorney. And Nick said in the last 2 years, he has 3 murderers, that he couldn't reach anybody to talk about potential deals. And I thought, here's the circuit attorney's office with no trials because of the pandemic. And one would think that during this year away from trials, Kim Gardner would have her people looking over files and trying to determine if we can make a deal on this one, or maybe the evidence is a little light here. And let's at least talk to the defense attorneys and see what we can get going. And instead, Kim Gardner's office wasn't even returning the phone calls of somebody like Nick Zotos. I thought, what are they doing over there?
But Ray Hartmann, do you believe that the judge is also to blame because he allowed a man who was caught on tape murdering another man to be released, and now he's at large and nobody knows where this Brandon Campbell is?
Yes, I do. I mean, the judge is, not to disparage the judge. The fact is, one step he couldn't. Now, he had to release him if he got the case dropped. But one step he could have taken, and I talked to a bunch of folks today about this, is he could have basically told whoever was failing to handle this case properly in the circuit attorney's office that they were going to, in contempt of court, and that they were going to do time if they did not come forward with the discovery they needed, or did not, next time they missed a court date. And that would have been a much preferable way to handle this than to release a murderer of all people, who now not only poses potentially, and Wendy's right, he fled before, but accused murder. But the point is, he's a potential threat to the victim. He's a potential threat to witnesses, to cops who might try to arrest him. And he did not. You can talk about any way you want. He did not have to go to that step yet. He could have done more to. And I think he did it to make an example out of Gardner on this person.
Well, let me say, first of all, the idea of we're going to, put this assistant prosecuting attorney in contempt of court. Ray, she was on maternity leave. I mean, you can't.
It could have been somebody else
who they've forged the signature of. But I think, as terrible it is that we've let a murderer out, I don't think you can blame the judge. I mean, we have these laws and they apply to everybody. It's just like we're always saying, free speech isn't just for speech we approve of, it's for bad speech. You can't lie about somebody who's a defendant just because he's a bad person. The law is the law. And if the law says that the circuit attorney office has to come forward at some time for this guy, or we're going to let him out, I think the judge just did the unpopular thing, but what he had to do.
And you've got, black alleged, perpetrator crime, black victim. And thus, you've got two black families that are like, because there was another case as well where, they're thinking like, how is this, justice? What is going on? But on the other hand, and this guy should not be out on the street, but there seems to be a whole lot of talk. And I've said this, boy, we spend a whole lot of time crying the blues for people who are just basically criminals. So, you got to look at it from both sides. And other than to say, we all had some point in our life where we went from being, Bill, you became a columnist, I guess, but like, reporters, and you're gung-ho and you have causes and you want to just change the world. And that doesn't change when you become an editor. But what you learn real fast is, you know what? I manage people. I'm not that anymore. And for this newspaper or whatever this business is to be as functional and do everything I ever wanted to as a reporter, it's got to work starting at my desk and managing people and managing stuff. And I'm not saying Kim Gardner is incompetent. I'm not saying that people aren't out to get her, but I am saying that, boy, you really cannot defend mismanagement because that's what seems to be going on.
Charlie, can I respond to your original thing? And that is, first of all, it was, by the way, really good journalism on the part of the Post-Dispatch. Joel Currier did a terrific job on this. It's interesting, though, for the Post-Dispatch, which is a paragon of mismanagement in its own world with its own voice, to be talking about anybody else.
What are you talking about?
The Post
Why
is,
don't-
it's like
Paragon of mismanagement. When
I
did
mean,
that
why
story
don't
come
you-
out?
Charlie, let him go.
I'm just teasing.
Why don't you
Look,
blame what's going on in the circuit attorney's office
Here's
on the
the point.
Post-Dispatch?
The point-
too? We've already thrown the judge under the
So
bus.
the judge is responsible, the Post-Dispatch,
Here's
everyone
the
but
Post-Dispatch
Kim
is
Gardner.
responsible.
Charlie, what I want to say is Kim Gardner was elected. Everybody says, what are we going to do about her? It's the answer is
So was Donald
maybe-
Trump,
I
right?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Wendy.
So was Donald Trump. So was Donald Trump.
Hey,
right,
Ray,
and
what you're forgetting is
he
that
was voted out of office, and that's
yeah,
what
but
normally you
forging
do
a signature
when you
is
don't-
against the law. So some attorney or someone in the office should lose the job, and maybe if an attorney forged a signature, that person should be disbarred. You agree with
I
that,
personally
correct?
think Kim Gardner needs to overhaul the management of her office. There's a question about it. But she is the elected prosecutor, and she's the
He
only
was blaming the
prosecutor in
Family
state.
Leave
And
Act.
everybody would look at it and say, "Well, we got to get rid of her."
No,
She's
no,
elected.
but we know a crime
She's
occurred.
elected.
Someone forged a signature close to 30
Then
times.
that should be investigated. But that's fine. It
So
should.
that has to be investigated.
Of course it should. That's got
Right.
nothing to do with whether you arbitrarily say, well, we got to get rid of her. No, you don't do that in a democracy. She's elected. Of course you investigate.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying that
Elected, okay? Then unelect her. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's a democracy. The
Or
people
have a
in
recall
St. Louis
petition.
have the right to
How about a
have
messy-
the prosecutor they elect.
Kim Gardner supporters, as we can hear, are vehemently on her side. And if there's any effort, if we have Eric Schmidt investigating these forgeries and he comes against Kim Gardner, oh my gosh, what a
It'll
mess.
be dismissed.
It'll be a
If
show
he's elected,
trial.
I think Eric
Hey.
Schmidt isn't a good attorney general. I've never said he should resign or what are we going to do about Eric Schmidt? He's elected. What's so complicated about that? She's elected, you know, and
Yeah, well, so was Eric Greitens. He was elected, but he took a
Well,
photo of a woman, and the photo went into the iCloud. So you wanted
ask
him
the
out of there.
Republicans who ran him out of Jeff City. Don't
Okay, all right. Hey, next topic. Speaking of Jefferson City, and you were Alvin Reid, Governor Mike Parson is offering a $10,000 lottery. 900 people, people who have already received the vaccination, those who haven't been vaccinated, and children, I guess 12 to 17 years old, will be eligible for $10,000 in either cash minus taxes or educational stipends. You pointed out earlier that Missouri really is a hotspot. Just 40% of the population in our state has been vaccinated. That's way low. And yet we're number 3 in COVID-19 per capita. Not good. So what do you think about this lottery, Alvin?
Well, you know, this is like one of those breaking news stories that if you update, you know, like whatever news search item and put Missouri COVID, there's a different story every 15 minutes. And there's a map out there where they're saying Florida and Texas, okay, and Missouri are the 3 hotspots. If you look at Florida and Texas, there's some little red blotches here and there. Missouri looks like my shirt, okay? This $10,000, you know, dollars. Boy, that horse is so far out of the barn, it ran to the moon. He just looks ridiculous. And this is ridiculous, and it's way less money than other states are spending on incentives. And, you know, they've been laughing at this since it began. Republicans mostly down in Jefferson City and throughout the state. And now what everybody said was going to happen is happening. So this is a joke. And as I said, this would be funny, except it's just so tragic.
Okay, so if Tashara Jones gives out $500, that's great. If the governor gives out $10,000, that's a joke.
No, what I'm saying is that there's been a concise effort to actually get people vaccinated and wear masks and do the right thing. And the state of Missouri laughed at all that, scoffed at all that, passed laws that said you can't do this, tried to strip the county executive of all his power. So don't come to me with like, ooh, some Missourians might win $10,000. I mean, that really does sound like dialing for dollars or just some nonsense.
I don't have as big a problem. I mean, I don't disagree with Mr. Reid exactly, but it's not so much the culture. I mean, I think they probably get more people if they gave away like brats at the state fair, but they've got to. The problem is, it's like all of a sudden they just discovered vaccines and the need for the health department, which still, by the way, Department of Health and Senior Services doesn't have a qualified individual 3 months after the Randall Williams show left town. And that's the problem, is there's no commitment to public health in the state. And the fact is, not so much what he's given out now, is the fact that even to this point, there's been very little effort to push any vaccine message because it was politically inconvenient.
Yeah, I think that's true, but no one had problems with the gift cards in the county, did we? And
I
now
don't
we're
hear about the 10,000.
That was, I mean, Charlie, that was 5 million. The gift card program that Mayor Jones is behind, that's $5 million. I mean, she's talking about $5 million. I think Alvin's point is $10,000 compared to the state. What was it, Alvin? The state of Wisconsin, or I mean, they're giving away millions of dollars.
No, we do look funny in that. I get it.
Just looks a little. That does look like dialing for dollars, or the matinee movie, or whatever. It just it does look a little tone deaf.
Well, Wendy Wiese, let me ask you. On the subject of COVID-19, there is the possibility that mask mandates will return. Some parts of the country are already requiring people to wear masks whenever inside a public establishment and sometimes even outdoors. And according to officials in the county and the city, they're discussing it. Has that cow left the barn?
I'm sure in the minds of many cowboys, it has. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who think that discussion is over. I do what I'm told to do. When the health officials say, mask up, see, there's my good friend, Bill McClellan. He's a good citizen. Everybody on this panel is double vaccinated. We're ready to go. But if the health officials say, hey, you know what? Just in the interest of the greater good, wear a mask. I'm going to wear a mask.
Boy, that'll be awfully hard to do, Wendy. I mean, I'm one of the majority of people who I've mentally kind of put this behind me. And the idea of wearing a mask, I sure hope it doesn't go there.
And I think that the county executive and even Mayor Jones, I believe that they won't. I don't think we're going to go there. Okay. And I think in part because of what Bill said, that it just, boy, you talk about just people not wanting to do it. That's one thing. But the other is, all right, I have literally tried really hard since this all began. And when I was working, in the health food store and dealing with people that did not want to wear a mask. And it was at the height of all this, and there was no vaccination. And well, I'm vaccinated now, and I know there's a 1% chance or something like that I could, get it, even though I've been vaccinated. And I understand there's new strains every day. I guess we're moving on to Epsilon now. But I'll tell you what, I think for those that have refused to wear a mask and are not vaccinated and have been the loudest talkers and the brashest walkers, well, I'm sorry. I ran out of patience with you. It just doesn't seem very Christianly, but I'm sorry. I just don't care. Okay.
I think a lot of people agree with you, Al.
This is about public health. It's not about our feelings. It's not about what we thought was behind us. Our family, like yours, is vaccinated. It isn't about whether we might get it, although there is the possibility of getting it. And it should be clear that those of us who are vaccinated have a very small chance of ending up in a hospital after getting it, which is a significant thing. But this isn't about who's right, who's wrong. It's not about freedom. It's about the public health. So the question is, if the health officials say, if we want to put our, this political phony message out there that this is about freedom and it's about our rights and this, it's about the health. Either we want to have a pandemic raging for the next several years or we don't. It's about health.
But Ray, if everybody in America was vaccinated, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Correct.
So the reason we're having this discussion is because too many people are unvaccinated.
Absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely. And we should try to get them vaccinated. But if we don't, and the health officials say, this is the way you keep it from spreading, you listen to the health officials. It isn't about our feelings or what we think we should do. It's listening to common sense.
I do understand what Alvin is saying, because we are penalizing the people who are following the rules, and
Absolutely.
we are making things nice for those who are the most vocal about anti-vaxxers.
Absolutely. But it isn't about us. It's about
Very
health.
well. Alvin, I thought it was interesting you said that people were going into the health food store maybe without masks. I thought of all places, that would be the place people would wear them.
Charlie, I could write a book on that. I'm serious.
I bet you will.
I'm serious.
Okay. I want to ask you about Michael Neidorff. He gave a rather extensive interview to the St. Louis Business Journal, where he touched upon many different topics. He's still concerned about crime, has trouble luring top talent to St. Louis. He was disappointed that the mayor went to Denver to look at how to send social workers to crimes. He says there's no doubt we need more police in the city. He also wants turnstiles for Metrolink. He had quite a few different opinions. And he also said that he wasn't going to invest more money until we fix some of the issues in our region. I think that if he asks for turnstiles, Alvin, a guy who's head of a $111 billion corporation in St. Louis is going to get them. What do you think?
Well, I agree. And just give me 10 seconds. I wanted to say one thing. Dr. Henry Givens passed away this week. Yeah. Longtime president of Harris Stowe State University, saved it. Lincoln University graduate, great St. Louisan, great man. He will be missed. Okay. Amen. All right. Michael Neidorff. Wrong. I mean, right on the turnstiles, wrong on the Denver trip. You know, I agree with him on some things. I disagree with him on others, but he's putting it out there, and he's making the corporate community not only decide what they think about him and his company, but where are we at on turnstiles, and where are we at on crime, and where are we at on Medicaid, which he stumped for Medicaid, and he got his wish today, although, that was a judicial thing. So, hey, I can't be mad at Michael Neidorff. I just cannot.
30 seconds to go.
I want to hear one thing. When is Michael Neidorff going to commit to keeping Centene in St. Louis? The rest is fine. He's a great philanthropist. I don't disagree with Alvin. Anything he said, he's got a right to his opinion. When is he going to commit to keeping Centene in St. Louis? At that time, I'm kind of interested in what he's got to say. And until then, really not.
I wish he hadn't kicked us while we were down in the middle of a pandemic, and I hope in the future he'll listen to his PR people. Even though everything he said was legitimate, I think it was very harshly delivered.
Great man named Bill McClellan said, "When are you going to kick him, man? Why not when he's down?" Right, Bill?
When he's down, when can you kick him?
Birthday boy.
I quoted that recently.
That's the last word, Bill. Happy birthday tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Many happy returns. And in a moment, Ted Simmons.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Well, thanks for joining us for Next Up. This is where we interview the community leaders, and we're talking to the toast of St. Louis for the summer of 2021, because Ted Simmons spent 21 years in the majors, many of them for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's heading into the Baseball Hall of Fame on September the 8th after hitting 248 home runs, 285 was the batting average, 8-time All-Star. And nicknamed Simba because of the hair. We're going to get into that. But Ted, congratulations. Thanks for joining us on Next Up.
Well, Charlie, Alvin, thank you so much for having me. This is pretty special. I've watched, of course, over the years, a pretty big show here in town, and I finally made it. So, better.
I'm sure that July 31st will pale in comparison to your appearance on this program. On July 31st, by the way, everybody, at Busch Stadium, not only will a statue sculpted by Harry Weber be unveiled, but there will be a Ted Simmons bobblehead, and your number, 23, will
that's correct.
Will be retired. So that's really exciting, and everyone can get tickets at Cardinals.com. you just must be pinching yourself.
Well, it's it's like a practical joke almost. So you think you go to bed at night, you lay down, you say, tomorrow morning somebody's calling me. They're going to tell me this isn't really happening to you. As we near this thing, I keep getting closer and closer to the reality that it is in fact going to happen. And the thing that the Cardinals have put together here on the 31st is just going to be great. I hope everybody comes. It's certainly going to be a very special day for me and my family, but it's a celebration of this whole town. The Hall of Fame thing is a tribute to everybody, and that's how I look at it. So I can't wait for next weekend for sure.
Yeah, well, Ted, I mean, throughout my career, I've done just some tremendous things. And right now, I'm kind of like tongue-tied because, dude, I'm 60 years old. And,
You're just a kid.
I'm just a kid. But, hey, man, the Cardinals draw 3 million now. And it's wonderful. And the stadium's, either packed or just almost there every night. But, man, I came to see you, and I saw so many games when there's me and about, 20,000 other people in that gigantic stadium. And, you're one of my, kind of like childhood heroes because, man, you could hit, you could catch, you could play. And I just was like, oh, wow, Ted Simmons is going to be on the show. So I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit spouting off now, but this is truly an honor for me.
Oh, that's
so,
okay. Go ahead, man.
All right. But I will say that, hey, all right, you kind of summed it up, but you're going to wear the Cardinal cap when you go into the Hall of Fame. So, when you think back to when you first came up, and I'm going to ask you something about that, my next go round, but man, what a journey that started in St. Louis. So just tell me about what it was like playing here.
Well, I came from the Detroit area, and, up there, they had to live and die with the Pistons and the Lions and the Tigers for the longest time, although the Tigers and Red Wings have had some success. But those others, it was rough. When I came to St. Louis for the first time, I had no idea what it was like in this town, centered around then, of course, the baseball and football Cardinals, and then the startup of the Blues. And I go way back there too. And it was all brand new to me. I had no idea what this town was like. I didn't know, the nature of the Cardinals. I mean, honest to goodness, I never saw a National League game until I played in one. So when I heard the name Stan Musial, I said, well, I wonder how he, is connected maybe to Ted Williams or something. Or what is he in relation to Mickey Mantle? I just didn't know anything about this place. So when I came here, I was a complete stranger. And then, of course, over the years, became fully committed to this city in many ways. My two sons, basically were born and raised here, went to school here. I'm telling you, I've come full circle. And this business that's happening here with the Cardinals and the Cooperstown Hall of Fame is like a culmination of a lifetime. And an association with a city that has just embraced me and my family all along.
Can you tell our viewers about a lesson you kind of learned early on from one George Kissel?
Well, I mean, the story's long, but all I can say is when I first signed as a 17-year-old, I sat down amidst, all the other drafted players. And George Kissel was the most profound fundamentalist maybe, ever came around this game, or certainly one of them. And he knew that I thought, because I was the number one draft pick and got all the big money, so to speak, I thought I was probably pretty special. And I did think I was pretty special. Well, he took me literally in front of that whole group and posed some very complicated cutoffs and relays that nobody at 17 years old could sort through or come up with the right answer for. And so he sat and he said, okay, anybody want to raise their hand and explain where everybody goes on this play? Nobody did. So finally, George Kissel turned to me and he said, well, Mr. Simmons, I'm sure you know exactly where everybody goes on this play. So why don't you stand up and tell everybody? Well, he did that to me 2 days in a row. And then, the third day he called me in his office and explained, you probably think you're the best player around here. And because you got all the money and were drafted number one, you might be entitled to do that. But it's pretty clear, you don't know any more than anybody else in here right now. The best thing for you to do is put your learning cap on and take this game real serious. My whole life changed that day. My whole life changed.
So all this money you made, dare I ask, what was that, $500?
Well, I'm confident enough to say that the first major league contract I signed with the Cardinals to play the whole year, okay, at that time was $7,500 for the whole season.
The whole season.
I mean, it's come all along the way. But, you know, I played in an era where I worked in the, you know, there was, I used to work in the bank in the winter because, you know, Mark Twain Banks and back then Adam Aronson, John Dubinsky here in town employed me to, you know, give me and help sustain me through the winter months because, you know, all that money I signed as that number one, you know, prospect, you know, as after taxes and buying some various things for my family, that goes quick. And so I needed that job in the winter. And, you know, it's different today.
Okay. Now I looked it up. I didn't just have this on top of my head. You were here a couple of games in 1968, or at least I guess it's listed as you played in or active roster. So at that time, what, 19 or were you just 18 then? Bob Gibson and all these all-stars and the best team in baseball. Did they talk to you?
They grabbed me and embraced me, and they were a great team, as the people all remember. But I mean, Gibson and Torrey, Kurt Flood was still in the clubhouse at the time. Cepeda was here. The second baseman, Julian Javier. Roger Maris was here. And I told you I grew up in Detroit and just learned to hate the Yankees because they'd come in and beat the tail off the Tigers. But of course, you know, 61, Maris had done great things, and Mantle had hit 58, I think, that year, 56. And so I walked up, you know, that clubhouse, and there was Roger Maris, you know, in that clubhouse right over there. So it was just, you know, unbelievable for a 19-year-old to come up for, you know, for that look-see in September and look and see those people in that clubhouse and try to assimilate. But I mean, you know, I was 19 years old. These people were adult men. It was difficult. But, you know, they grabbed me by the arm and said, come on, let's go. And
Ted, how old were you when you were catching Gibson and Carlton?
Well, first time I was 20 years old.
20.
Yeah. And, you know, I was just hanging on. When I say hanging on, I put down the fingers and hope that was the right one, and they and then hanging on, try to catch it when they threw it. So, I mean, I came up, you know, so young, and I came up because Mike Shannon got sick, and Joe Torre had come in the winter, and he was going to play catcher, and Shannon was the third baseman. Mike got sick with kidney disease that ended his career. When he, in spring training, was set down, Torrey went to third base, and they called me up from AAA as a 20-year-old, catching the people that you just talked about. I was no more ready to do that than a man in the moon. I could remember, as I've said this many times, trying to explain this to people, at 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, I could, you know, I still thought about my high school prom. You know what I mean? It was only 2 years from when I was there. So, you know, so now I'm trying to catch Bob Gibson, you know, figure out what I'm supposed to do with all this. So until I got to be about 25, I was just, as I say, hanging on. But that cycle turned, and now I learned what was going on. And so to what extent people have been critical of my, you know, abilities from the age 20 to 23, 24, 25. I mean, as I say, I was awfully young to be doing a grown-up job like that.
Well, you could hit, okay?
Yeah.
And when you were, like I say, you're learning to catch and the fundamentals and all that, at what point did you say, like, I can handle these guys on the mound, you know, when I'm in the batter's box? About the same age, or pretty much did you know that, you know, by the time you were 21, 22?
And that was earlier, because I had hit 300 by the time I was 21. And, you know, Kissel hadn't drummed all the arrogance out of me. But at 21, you're playing every day at the major league level, and you're facing all the hitters. I mean, all the pitchers on all the other teams. Seaver, Gaylord Perry was still pitching there. Fergie Jenkins, J.R. Richards in Houston. Mm-hmm. And these are the real tests because, when you're facing these guys, if you're not having success, you're going to feel that, and you're going to carry that everywhere. But if you are having success, it's the most reinforcing thing in the entire world. And you start, homering off Seaver or, hitting, the ball off the fence with Nolan Ryan or homering off him, you start feeling really good about yourself again. And that was always with me. It was my ticket. I could always hit. By the time I was 21, 22, 23 years old, I said, hey, I don't care who's pitching. I don't care if the guy's a Martian. I'll get him.
Who had your number? Who couldn't you figure out?
Oh, yeah, the soft tossers.
Okay. Kenny Holtzman?
Pardon me?
Kenny Holtzman?
Kenny Holtzman was rough. Yeah. He was rough. Had a good breaking ball that he could throw behind the count. 3 balls, 1 strike. Throw it right down the middle. And you'd step on and say, Jesus God almighty. That should have been ball 4. The guy, Holtzman was rough. He's a St. Louis guy here, too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But, Jamie Moyer, those kind of guys that just, almost like flap the ball up there at you. And you say, okay, I know he's going to throw it slow. I'll wait on it this long. And you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, man. You still can't wait long enough. And you charge out there, man. Jam yourself, and weak pop-up or slow ground ball to the shortstop. So
Ted,
those slow ballers, soft tossers are the roughest ones usually.
Ted, who was the pitcher? Was it Suter? Who was on the mound when you hit a home run, and then when you crossed the plate, the umpire threw you out of the game?
Yeah, that was Suter's game against the Cubs here in St. Louis, and Paul Runge was the home plate umpire. And I'll give it to you as fast as I can, but we're down 2-1, bottom of the 9th. Okay, I'm up, but the entire game, Runge, the home plate umpire, and myself have been at each other's neck. That pitch is a strike, Paul. That ball was not outside. Jesus, you got to give that pitch, man. That's a strike. And so we're bantering all inning, all game, every inning. So finally, I get up there, okay? And Suter's pitching. He's trying to close out the game. They're 3 outs away from the win, bottom of the 9th. Throws the first ball inside, and I'm telling you, I leaned back on it, almost hit me in the chest. And he says, strike. I turn and look at, Runge. I say, hey, man, that ball almost hit me. He didn't say anything. Suter wasn't stupid. Next pitch, he throws the same ball closer, right in here, fastball right in here. And I'm telling you, I don't know how it didn't hit me, okay? And Runge says, strike, dude. Oh, my gosh. And so I turned it, and he's reaching for his mask like this. And that is a signal. When an umpire goes like this, reaching to pull his mask off, he is about to say, you are out of here if you open your mouth. I recognized it, jumped right back into the box immediately, and went into the batting stance. Suter then throws me a hanging forkball, and I hit it for a home. I'm running the bases, get to second base. I look in, and Runge is standing on home plate, the home plate umpire. I've just homered, and I've got to step on home plate, and he's standing on it. At second base, I recognize it. So I said, look at this, man. What is this? So I get around third base. I'm coming in, and he hadn't moved from off home plate. I'm coming. I said, yeah, okay, I'll get this. I knew we had to step off eventually. And about 7 or 8 feet before I got there to touch home plate, he backs up. And when he didn't open my mouth to say a word. I just took my hat and tipped at it, just like that. Took my hat off and tipped it to him. And he said, you are out of here, man. Right? It actually happened just like that. I described it. But one of the great moments of my life. That's what it was.
My. And, man. How about catching a Bob Gibson no-hitter against, I think the team was one of the greatest batting teams of the day, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Lumber Company in Pittsburgh, yeah. Incredible. I mean, people talk about no-hitters, and they always say, around that 4th or 5th inning, everybody starts sensing stuff, God, he's got really good stuff and nobody's got a hit yet. And the old standby, don't say anything, and nobody does, okay? But as the catcher of a game like that, I mean, in that fifth inning, you're positive. Tonight, it might happen because this guy's stuff is so good tonight, they can't hit it. And we're talking about Stargell, Parker, okay, all the heavies over there in that lumber company, right? Sanguin, you name them, they're in that lineup that night. Man, he's just mowing them down, and I'm saying, wow, this is unbelievable. So as things go, and everybody's silent about it, and of course Gibson wouldn't have said a word, and if you'd approached him, he might have, forearmed your man to the forehead or something. But they just everybody stayed away. You catch the game, it gets through, and by the time you're 1 or 2 outs in the ninth, now everybody's just crossing their fingers, trying to keep cool, not say a thing, and then he ends up striking out Stargell, for the final out, and you just say, a lucky opportunity in your lifetime as well to say, I mean, he only pitched one, and you say, I got to be there. And at that time, I wasn't hanging on. I knew what was happening. I knew what to do, and I felt a part of that. It was really special.
Now, I've heard this described, that the reason none of us have ever seen that last out is because, well, Pittsburgh, obviously East Coast, and the only crew there was actually, they did the news also. So like at 9 o'clock Central Time, they left the stadium and there's no film recording the last out of Bob Gibson's no-hitter. So it's crazy, but...
Well, things happen that way. But I remember clear as a bell. Incredible night when a pitcher gets like that, and sustains that for 9 innings. It's incredible to watch and to catch. It's beyond description.
Did he autograph a ball for you? And you still have it?
No, I stayed out Gibson's way all the time. We gave him all the space he needed all the time.
Now, what's the technical term for switch hitter? Lateral symmetry, something like that?
Bilateral symmetry.
Okay.
Equal lateral ability, both, on the middle of your body. This side works and this side works. So I don't believe in pure bilateral symmetry, because all you have to do is somebody says, well, I'm a switch hitter and it's no different on my left side than my right. And I said, okay, I'm going to give you a pencil and I want you to write your name. First do it with your left hand and then do it with your right hand. And if what you're telling me is true, I suspect the two signatures will be identical, right? And then they say, and maybe I'm not, fully bilateral. So I don't believe in it, because I've never seen anybody sign their name left and right-handed, and they'd be exactly the same. But as ambidexterity goes, ambi, multi-dexterous, okay, as that thing goes, people have the ability to do physical things on the left and right side of the physical body, and it's referred to as ambidexterity or bilateral symmetry. And by the time I was 4 or 5 years old, my brothers knew something was going on. I'm throwing the ball the one way, to getting the ball next time, throw it the other, get the bat, and they'd pitch to me, and I'd grab it one way, and the next time I'd grab it and do it the other way. And my oldest brother was 14 years older than me, and my other was 7 years older, and they saw this happen to me as a kid, and they said, something's going on here. And it was the single most important thing that ever, occurred in my life athletically. Be able to do that, really, really rare and unusual, special thing.
How did you end up catching? At a young age, you fit the equipment, or did you just decide that, hey, I'm going to be a catcher, or how did that work out?
Well, there's a certain body type that, especially back then, they looked for all the time. And you had to have, kind of a thick, muscular, rounded shoulders, kind of large hips and thick thighs to physically, to endure that kind of position. So you get kind of steered in a certain way. And, contrary to what people might think, You know, I used to pitch. I used to play shortstop. I used to play right field and all these positions. Why? Because all the time growing up, I had the strongest arm. And you'll find that if you walk over to, the Busch Stadium over there and ask any one of those players, they'll say, "Did you ever pitch?" And they say, "Of course." And you say, "Well, why is that?" Because we all had the strongest arms. We all threw the ball harder and farther than everybody. And so I was no, exception to that rule. And so I could throw, so I could make the peg to second base. And, I could, play shortstop, go to the hole on the backhand and throw it all the way across. And when it came my team in high school and federation leagues and the various teams I played for, I pitched too because I had the best arm. So that's kind of what steers you in a certain direction. And because I could hit, they knew I wasn't going to pitch. And because I could really hit, they wanted me out there every day. And because physically I was kind of shaped that way and could manage it physically, I said, "You should be a catcher." And it's the fastest way to the majors, which was true. And I adhered to that, immediately. It's the fastest way. Yeah, there's no catchers in the big leagues can hit. Well, there was a few. Barra.
Bench.
Yeah, well, he's my contemporary. But when I was 12 years old, I didn't know who Bench was, and he didn't know who I was. So who were the major league catchers? And who were the hitting major league catchers? That gets hard, back in the late 50s and 60s and early 70s to come up with the guys over here. Elston Howard, Johnny Roseboro. These were catchers, Earl Batty. These were catchers in the major leagues when I was a kid who could hit a little bit, but most of them couldn't hit at all.
It was said that you were such a good hitter in high school that you took batting practice with the Detroit Tigers. And there was an executive with the team. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Bill LaJoy. Is that?
He was there. Yeah, Bill LaJoy. He was there. Longtime scout. Yeah.
He said the most unusual, in his autobiography, he said you were the most unusual kid he visited because when he went to your house to talk to you about playing in the major leagues, your parents left the room. They left the house and you conducted the interview solo.
Well, I mean, what you have to remember is a guy, say like myself, by the time I'm 14 years old, okay, I played in the city of Detroit, big metropolitan area. And, by the time I was 14, like, say Derek Jeter, somebody who really, really is a super athlete, okay? By the time he's 14 years old, he grew up in Kalamazoo. They not only knew who he was all over Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Battle Creek, Lansing, and metropolitan area of Detroit. There's a kid out there in Kalamazoo that you just got to see. He can play basketball, he can play football, he can play baseball. He's going to be somebody's number one something. Well, I don't want to sound like a dope, but when I was 14 years old, I was like that in the Detroit area. Hey, there's a Simmons kid over there in Southfield, man. He's a heck of a football player. He's hell of a catcher. I mean, he can really hit. You got to go see him. And so what I'm getting at is whether it was LaJoy, the Detroit Tiger organization knew who I was cold, okay? And LaJoy was one of their administrative people over there. But the rules were changed later. But back then, they could take a young kid, okay, who was non-drafted yet, 14, 15 years old, say, "Hey, the Tigers are going to be in town this weekend. They're playing the Yankees. Why don't you come down on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? We'll put you in a uniform. Let's just, put your uniform on with the Tigers there, and in the clubhouse, and you go out and take batting practice and take infield with them." Well, I was 14 years old, and there was K-Line. There was, Bill Freehand. And okay, you're up, Rook. I'm 14 years old, and I'm hitting balls in the upper deck. Okay, not because I'm wonderful, but because I could. And so, you go through that kind of stuff athletically at 14, 15, 16 years old. Man, you get to a place where you think you're just bigger than life. And in terms of your ego and in terms of, your confidence, it's just soaring all the time. Now, that's not necessarily good, but that's what it's like for a guy like Derek Jeter, or Mike Trout. You think they didn't know who Mike Trout was in New Jersey, where he grew up there, or in the Philadelphia region? I mean, Mike Trout was known by everybody. I know that because I was a scout forever, after I quit playing. So, I mean, you know, and you hear about these guys. And that number one that was just taken pitcher for the Cardinals here this past week, you think this kid hadn't been known for the last 5-6 years by everybody? And so that's what I was like then. And that's what it's like for everyone.
Ted,
and so
I'm afraid to say that's all the time we have right now. Thank you so much for joining us on Next Up. Alvin and I could talk to you for hours.
I want extra innings.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, you guys got me rolling, man. Now you're going to stop me off, man.
With this goodbye, we'd like to welcome you back. Congratulations, Hall of Famer Ted Simmons, and thank you for joining us on 9 PBS.
You got this, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much.
Go Cardinals.
Absolutely.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9 PBS.